This first one I'm starting with is actually, I just started submitting poetry for publication within the last year. And my first poem is the first poem that I ever had published by someone else. And it's titled, For My Birthday, I Went to Therapy, or I Gifted Myself Therapy.
I'm sorry, Lexi, I want to interrupt a second. Someone else's picture has come up. So would everyone please make sure they're muted except for the presenter? Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. All right, so this is For My Birthday, I Gifted Myself Therapy. I'm 28 now, can you believe it? I started seeing you when I was what, 22? You must have thought I was the saddest girl. One of the most human moments I have ever experienced was when I called you after he died, and the first thing that crashed out of your mouth was, how much can you take? Even you faltering for a moment to give perspective in tragedy. That's when I knew I could never have another therapist. You had been there through every detour, by my side as I tried to pry my eye from the wreckage of the unsung wedding bells, coaxing me to keep going when his death left me broken down, and helping me to find my way after each unexpected turn. I have never told you this. I've never told anyone this, but I set a date. I was 23 when he died, and it was exactly 2 months past his 25th birthday. So I decided that if by 2 months past my 25th birthday, every path forward was still roadblocked by grief, I would simply use my emergency exit and follow him in his pursuit of relief. But I wanted it to be a fair fight. So I bought a pair of roller skates on Craigslist and spent hours each week sweating out the sadness in hopes of getting on a roller derby team. Paid a man to pierce my back so I could fly, releasing one pain in favor of another, desperately seeking a different perspective, and moved to the other side of the world to see what the grief would look like if no one knew I was grieving. And then my 25th birthday passed, and 2 months after my 25th birthday passed. I didn't even realize it until weeks later as another anxiety attack threatened to run me off the road that I thought to check the date. 6 weeks had passed before I thought about it. Do you know what that's like? To plan a route and get so distracted by the beauty in front of you that you completely miss your exit? Do you know what it's like to be living so well that you forgot you set a date to die? It wasn't that I was happy yet, but my roller derby team was counting on me. My tiny dogs were eager to lead me out the door, finding new paths to explore, and there was a beautiful girl whose laughter could fuel me for days. Now here I am sitting across from you, and I just turned 28. I still can't believe I made it here. I think I want to get off the road and stretch my legs for a while, enjoy this little life I've made for myself. My family loves to tease me for claiming a whole week to celebrate my birthday, but each one feels like a surprise when it's one you never planned for. Each one seems worthy of celebration when the golden gift of the sunrise sparks you with curiosity for what the day may bring. Talk about progress, right? This is so weird. This is my first virtual reading. Thank you guys. All right. So as I mentioned before, I am in Phoenix, Arizona. So while the rest of you are like dealing with snow and stuff, it's like beautiful and sunny outside, and I'm in a tank top and it's glorious. The next piece that I am going to read is a little steamy. It's called The Night the Desert's Fever Broke. The blush of her cheek matched the cotton candy clouds as the sun painted the sky purple and red with his goodbye. We sipped on sweet summer wine, and for once I was grateful for the heat that hung heavy in the air. So I could point to that as the cause to my nervous sweat and maintain some sense of cool with her. Giggling through another night of the cicadas' serenade, we revealed the layers of ourselves and learned to put trust in one another. Under the cover of starlight, we could no longer deny the heat between us. Giving in to the season's spell, we shed our clothes and bloomed into the night like the cereus flower. Despite the 100 degrees outside, there I was shivering beneath her touch, giving her permission to wander and explore. We quieted as a soft breeze sent summer on its way, and she settled into my arms as we marveled that our summer love was not just a fever dream. And with a breath, we gave way for the fall. All right. Thank you, thank you. I see that some of you can't hear, so I'm gonna try and be a little louder, sorry. So my next poem is the poem that was published by Serotonin. It's called The Kaleidoscope Says to My Anxiety. Unload your thoughts to me and I will teach you all about reframing. How a single turn of a memory can create a whole new picture using all the same colors. When you freeze with panic, sure that your message will again remain forever unread, I will remind you to remove the lens of the past so you can see the blood is not running red. It is merely the flowers from your new love blooming. Here in the present, life is still going. The tricky thing about the truth is it can be refracted in so many ways. The past, one of many facets, always trying to come into view. But if you just keep moving, I will remind you of what is yet to be seen. So used to reflecting only on your fears, I will bring you back, the present back into focus. Make sure every angle is witnessed, allowing you to see all the possibilities within them. Okay, I just have a couple more for you guys today. I've been working on a new manuscript, and that has been like what has kept me sane this quarantine. As in my bio, I work in the mental health field, and so that on top of COVID has been a lot. So it's been really great to build my online writing community since I've been so removed from my local one. But I do have a book that I self-published. It's called The Afterlife. I self-published it through Amazon, but it's on a couple of bookshop pages, so that way you can circumvent Amazon and not give them money. But if you go to my Instagram or my Twitter, there's links to buy it through bookshop.org, or just send me a message and I can help you find it. But this next one is so another new one, and it's called Your Hand in Mine. I listen to that old album and think of you. I hope you know the one I'm referring to. The one you played for me as the wind howled outside while the rain accompanied the drums on the window. The desert welcomed in the monsoon as you enveloped me in your arms, my heart beating as loud as the thunder. It took me the whole first song to quiet my breath and let myself sink into the moment enough to actually hear the music. How exhilarating it was to have your arms around me the first time. Not knowing then, not knowing then that near the end of us, I couldn't sleep if I wasn't touching you. Each night I'd cling to your arm as the melodies of our breathing intertwined, slowly releasing my grasp as we waltzed into a state of rest. Even in my dreams, I'd know if you rolled too far away and dance across the bed until I closed the foot of space between us. When you left, I didn't sleep for weeks. I spent the nights filling the silence in dance clubs, trying to distract my brain from looking for someone to blame. I didn't understand how I can be in so much pain when your only crime was not loving me anymore. The hurt deafened my ability to reason, trying to rewind to the exact moment you decided to walk away, questioning every kiss, tearing apart each memory to find when the dissonance grew between us. But every song comes to an end, and there's no use in blaming the silence. The years it took me to learn that lesson, to see you not only as the first person who ever hurt me, but also as the first person who ever held me. Now I sleep soundly, taking up a whole king-size bed, and sometimes when the rain dances in the desert, I listen to that album we loved. And I'm not sad anymore. and I don't hate you. I just remember falling in love for the first time and very fondly wish you well. All right. Thank you, thank you. All right. So I have one more for you guys. I'm really excited to hear everything that the rest of you guys have to share today. And thank you to Serotonin for inviting me out. This last poem was actually, I wrote this poem during a class that I got to take with my favorite poet, Andrea Gibson, who was doing like an online class last fall. And I think they're getting ready to do another round of it. So if you are interested, definitely take it because it's so worth it. But so this this poem is called My Own Secret Admirer. I will be there waiting for you when you finish the marathon of letting go of every past lover who was burned by your sun instead of basking in your glow. I have always loved you, even when I couldn't admit it to myself. It was easier to listen to the world tell me all the ways you were unworthy, and I'm ashamed to say sometimes I listened. But then you would surprise me by going out of your way to make small talk with the new girl, or getting up to sing even though your nerves earthquaked the room, yet you never missed a note. And I knew if I ever wanted to be able to call myself brave, I had to let myself love you. I've spent hours memorizing each of your scars like a roadmap to who you are, each one leading back to the steady compass of your heart, never afraid to guide the way. How I pray for the day it will point you back towards me and you can see all the love I have inside of me for you. You who strives to smile through every storm, I promise to love you with the patience to strain the salt from your tears, to grow a garden of sunflowers so you can always see the beauty in each hard lesson. Every time I catch the clock at 8:14, I will take a full minute to celebrate the you that made it to this day. You tender dreamer who faces the darkness, always looking for the light. I've collected the pieces from each time you felt yourself shatter and built you a telescope so wherever you are, you can always get your wishes to the stars. I want you to know, no matter what you do, this love is already yours. It is not something you have to earn or suffer for. It simply is. And on the days when that doesn't seem true, I hope you remember to look in the mirror. I will be there waiting for you. Thank you guys.
The first thing I will be reading for all of you is the work I submitted to Serotonin, which Sean has just linked, Joyful Noise. It is about my experiences as an autistic person and the boredom of being trapped in a line. So I will just go ahead and start reading that one now. Let's see here. Boredom is standing in a line outside of an event hall. You and your sibling have planned this outing weeks in advance. The actual event itself will be memorable, even though you know every sound after it will feel like pins and needles on your brain. Even though when you exit the building, the sun will be too bright for your sensitive eyes, and even though you'll need to construct a blanket cocoon and nestle yourself into the heart of its warmth, you know it will all have been worth it. No one's getting in here, you will mutter happily to yourself, reciting a cartoon as well worn and loved as the blankets that surround you. All of those events are tasks set before your future self. Right now, you are bored. And when you are bored, you cluck. You cluck once, low and soft, testing the mood of the crowd around you. No complaints. You cluck again, louder and with more confidence. As you cluck, your brain sets off joyous sparks of light and color, pushing back the boredom and allowing you to focus better on your surroundings. Your sibling looks at you and you smile encouragingly at them. They're not as much of a fan of making chicken noises as you are, but when you start to clap, they join in, keeping you on time to the music you've constructed in your mind. Your sibling shimmies as you jerk your limbs into odd contortions, your soul glowing orange as you clap and cluck. Others in line stare at your strange behavior, but your focus is captured by the notes whirling within your mind, crafting your bird call piece by piece. Life is simply too short to concern yourself with whether or not being a dancing chicken is appropriate behavior while standing in line. Farther ahead, a woman turns around to see what the noise is about, and your eyes meet. You mimic your sibling's shimmy and continue clapping. You could see the bright glow fill her eyes as she begins clapping as well, bopping her head along to the beat. To your delight, a few others join you in your clucking, a cacophonous choir of chickens, cheeping and chirping to the same shared song. You take turns clucking back and forth with the man ahead of you before he succumbs to a fit of giggles. This is so weird, he admits, but continues with his bird song. When at last the doors to the event hall open, an employee pokes their head out to look at the crowd. Was it just me, or did I hear a bunch of clapping and clucking? Your sibling looks at you with a good-natured smile and gives one last shimmy. You throw back your head and belt forth a rooster's cry of affirmation. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. I just looked at the comments. All of my autistic friends really love this story, too. It's a real-life story of clucking. The other story that I have to share with you is an excerpt from a long-term project I'm working on called The Aphrodisy, where I'm translating Homer's Odyssey into African-American vernacular English. So let me just pull that document up. Let's see here. I can't remember, it's been a bit since I looked at this excerpt. I don't believe this section has any swears in it, but as a whole, the Aphrodisy tends to, so if there is one, I do apologize, and I will do my best to modify the language. Oh, okay, let me just take a quick look at it. Okay, no, we're good. Great. Okay, so this is the prologue to the Odyssey. So for the Aphrodisy, it's the same principle. Okay. Holla at me, muse, of a man who was so turnt he done wrecked the holy city of Troy, who then bounced. He peeped all them cities of all those people and came to know them. He took all them L's in his soul and his life and his homies. But even though he wished he could save all his bros, they were a bunch of fools who wrecked themselves, who strolled up into the fields of Helios and completely grubbed on his cows. You know Helios was mad, so he snatched their homecoming from them when they came to his place from some place or other. Now come on, sis, Athena the wise, daughter of Zeus. Spill that tea, hunty. All the rest of them Greeks fled a complete death, and they were chillin' at home having said, forget war and forget Poseidon, getting fed by they wives and whatnot. Man, you know Odie got up in his feelings about this. He wanted to take himself home and see his wife, but the sea kept him from it. Not to mention poor girl Calypso, that glowing goddess who longed for Odie to be her husband. A whole year went by, and the gods got together to finally decide to let Odie go home. Well, all of them except Poseidon. Poseidon could not stand Odysseus, and he was mad for days. And since he is basically the ocean, that meant Odie ain't going home, natch.
So hey everybody. Sean mentioned in the bio that I have a manuscript coming out at the end of the year through Radiator Press. Just got through like first round of edits with the editor there, and it's super tender work. I'm excited about it, but super tender work also was kind of a pandemic project. And the poem that I've had in Serotonin was of the series that I'll be reading today. I don't think that particular poem is going to be in it, but feel free. This is kind of like an evolution of some of the thoughts that were inside of that piece. And one thing I think that's great about virtual readings is that it does give you the option to be able to take in the word on the page as well as outside. So it's something I'm trying to experiment with and take advantage of. So I wanted to give you all the chance to be able to see it. The manuscript is called Open Source. So you're looking behind the scenes at like 2, 3, 4 edits behind. And I'm going to be reading some poems out of a section called Autoimmune. This section, like content warning, the section talks about suicide. It talks about sexual abuse, sexual assault, physical assault. And yeah, A lot of those things that obviously, create a lot of trauma and that have been a part of just how that's expressed itself inside of my life. Autoimmune. Hey, just let me curse a little. Just let me laugh at the thought of a thought. My shame is obese today. I just don't want to talk. It looks like hell outside. My face looked like hell this morning. I can't tell the difference between a scar, a scab, a patch of psoriasis, and a prison tattoo, the cave of my bedsheets. What can I say? Too many snoozes. This time I may sneak a bit of knuckle under my teeth and say I was cutting wood. This time I may release the dog snarling inside of my skull. Autoimmune 1. Eventually, they strapped electrodes to my dad's head. It's an evolving treatment, the leech. Steroid mood edged towards the stomach pump, blossoming like a plastic colander. Inserted the joke. Again, a nurse notes him, eye contact wandering of being the Black father as in being the myth, hovering above the bed's edge. Yeah, I bet he was useless at home. I bet he never learned how to cook. No one talk. Mom half laughs. He's knocked out anyway. We are a long-suffering people. He must have touched someone sometime. That's just the odd son. You see one more mirror you can't read the meaning of. You better pray to whoever loves you the hardest and run. A lack of love perverts things, shrivels all that was moist, cakey into a corpse, the worst, the ghost, the laugh that weapons at the back of the bus, toothy smile that doubles as a bear trap. My father doesn't exist. Kindness wrapped in mail smells like somebody's uncle. Lock your doors, hide your kids, hide your wife, your legs, your husbands and mirrors, because the demon stares back every time I forget who's looking. Autoimmune 2. My father is fine, says my father's raisening chest, sucking children's straw of his lungs, a speech slurring, the quicklime particulates that constructed my life. The first comment at the poetry workshop said, the character seems self-destructingly weak. I asked him if he's getting out, and he yas the come on a man says that isn't sexy, the one that retroflexes back into a throat, a baseball of unexpelled breath. He is breathing into the terrarium walls of the home he built. It is weeks after the suicide attempt. The last comment insisting how my parents had to have been so strict. I am the monster the moment you say I am. Shoot me in my open mouth as soon as the dark in your head shows his teeth. I will wait for you forever, yelling proud in the middle of the street, so tired and in love, begging for one mistake unremarkable and human at last. Autoimmune 3. My last serious asthma attack. The 40-year-old Philly nurse, Italian nurse, calling me a wimp as I heaved tight in my slipping half-naked 3 a.m. night. The albuterol coursing seized limbs, fetal bud of my porn torso, so small now. Familiar strangeness of a stranger's joy at a good Black humbling, the joke of my hyperventilation writing itself. Boyfriend called a cool tool at the cafe. It's a joke, as in tool, he's okay. Praise of passive boy as very pliant to being punched in the face in the good comedy lobby. You have to understand, this man was just so sweet. I mean, I could kick his ass. I could beat the shit out of this man and he would apologize to me. Just as such a sweet, docile little man, you know, staring me in the eye. And it's a fine afternoon to be a Black man standing in the doorway. Girlfriend jokes about if myself, my cousin, my father is actually human, should have been the first guest. Next partner expresses surprise that I like men as a rule. I asked, why wouldn't I like Black people? She laughs at the writers' conference of brown poets liking Black men as a thing to wear. I violent mask, my lover tells me they ache for it every time the God in their breast takes the form of a dad, puts my hand on their throat. Autoimmune 4, Dad wants to die in a part of Fairmount Park where he taught me to skip rocks. The evening sky, I want to throw my body off the first building that suggests a sloppy footing mistake. Jehovah knows the meat of your trust in him. He holds us up anyway after the casket close. No one has to know my thoughts, my sin. We are soulless bodies unfolding, observing an unfolding purpose. I'm waiting for the poet that asks if I grew up in a cult. Why not get what you deserve? Why not stick yourself in front of the most easily accessible exit if that's what the pop song says? No one cares. Unless it's your team, can't he jump through the window instead? We're not that high. Niggas ain't shit. Because he's a motherfucker, that's why. The first time she hit me, I talked too much to someone who was not a woman, and the voice in her head and something evil about the cock of my hip. Who cares why he is standing where I don't want him to in the room? A small firecracker is walking too far in front of her in the rain, the voice said. The voice insisted self-love. Her cousin insisted I was probably a fuck boy, so I was. What is a boy if he doesn't want to fuck? She needs the voice, resonant and Black movie title, to feel in control of this vibrating wrist. Saw something small crawl on the wall, called from the love seat, you, go kill that bug. Why does it feel like pain when I say no? Pain is the only fact. Pain and control. I am a gun. I wear steel sex and my fists are my most salient body part. My dick is a dick. Does he even understand hurt? What is love? And one more from this series, Autoimmune 5. My YouTube says I don't love so much as I fail at fucking. My favorite purpose is making someone that looks at me like a golden mutt die of pleasure. This poem is not about you, and it will never be enough. I've always loved the slot of my hip bone. The pediatrician's bob cut looked thin and recently died against her pulled pale neck. I have an allergic reaction to a new woman skimming the line where my pubic hair begins since the 4th grade. My Christian parents loved me clean, pure, and young. My Black cock crows when I wake up or I hate you. I don't come on the first date. My girlfriend's favorite rape fantasy took place near my diabetic aunt's old haunt. My first blowjob was a demon being pulled from my dried skin. My molester's eyes asked me to calm down with the wordless mercy of a good cop. I was never so aware I was smooth to the touch. I am a sexy power until it occurs to the family that is not family. I might exist as a need. Then I'm a rough shadow pretending to talk. My Black abdomen is a Pornhub full of light. I always held my breath when she led my mom towards the doorway. And thank you for listening. Those are extremely difficult poems, and some of which is this is the first time that I've read them out loud. So I appreciate your time and attention and holding that with me. This last poem is relatively new, and it is actually going to be featured in a fantastic project that our current poet laureate, Tripita Mason, is putting on. That's the Healing Verse phone line. So every Monday, unfortunately, I think this only works if you're in Philly, to those that are from outside. But if you call this number, you'll get a different poem that's related to self-healing and just upliftment. in this time. Collaboration between Trapita Mason and Kelly's Writer's House. Really fantastic. Call it up right after this if you have the inclination. Great poems. I don't know when this is going to be featured, but it will be featured on there, and it's called Postmortem. It's after Mary Oliver. You don't have to look good. You know what? Actually, I want to do this just straight up. So no sharing on this one. Okay. You don't have to look good. You don't have to be strong. You will be often, you just will, you have, I have, except when I'm not, then I'm not. You don't have to be there because they want you to. I want to be there. I'm alone or not. I do when I can, what I can, very well. You don't have to be anywhere at all. I am not. You don't have to be that kind of it, that reason for brilliant, that opinion of good, make sense of that brand of self, the police baton of hurt. There is enough of it every day, strange, just outside my door. It's okay for it to hurt. You will hurt. You do what you do. I say ouch because it feels good to say things loudly as I can. If not then right now. And to you, you don't have to be right. You don't have to be nice. I am not nice. I will be, I want to be, I am, I love, I try, I fail, we fail every morning, but I know every step, every tear by name, every twist of my foot is exactly what I say it is, and it looks good. It looks nice, not because it is nice, but because it is. You don't have to say it. Love. You don't have to say the word, but you will. You have. Someone does. Every day, everywhere. Thank you so much to Serotonin, to Moonstone, of course, and to all of you. And yeah, thank you so much for listening.